Well, here we are, Tuesday, December 13th, 2022. I'm Larissa. This is my video diary. Time to drink from skulls. Hey, Brody. Brody, it's skull drinking time, buddy. Hey, Brody. Hey, Brody. Are you hiding? Are you hiding? Where are you? I see you. Brody. You being a stinker? Brody, you being a stinker? Hey! Hey, mister. Hey, mister. Hey, mister. Hey! He's being a jerk. Why don't you come over here? He says, I don't want to drink from skulls with you today, Mummy. You frighten me, you scary lady. So, I have stuff going on. I do. And it's going really well. We'll see. Like I said, I try not to get too excited about anything ever anymore. Because anytime I'm happy about something, some asshole has to come along and destroy it. Right? It's the way my entire life has been. Anytime I work on something and I'm excited about something. So, hey, you coming over here now? Come here. What are you looking for? You already had your breakfast. Come here. So what am I going to do today? I got a bunch of stuff I got to do today. I got phone calls I got to make. I don't know. Project I'm working on, I am going to finish it. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to finish it. Brody, come here. Come here, buddy. Hey, how are you? How are you today? Hey, you acted all upset yesterday when Mommy wasn't home, and then you didn't even want to snuggle last night. Oh, was Daddy cold? Oh, Daddy was cold. Oh, okay. Mommy wasn't cold. No, Mommy was nice and warm and toasty. She has all her quilts and her Afghan. Oh my. He's such a weenie. He's like, I don't want to be on the camera. Everybody's going to see my weeniness. He is a weenie. So getting ready to do my tarot reading, huh? Trying to stay away from all the news. Trying to just stick to basketball. Trying to. Oh, there's drama in basketball too, huh? There's drama. I've seen there's drama. Goodness gracious. The referees, man. They're like calling games. Like, I have to wonder, you know? Like, whatever the rules are going to be, just enforce them across the board. Stop making special rules for special players, special rules for different teams. Like, that's not cool. Because that's what it is. Special rules for special players. Like, oh my gosh. If you're Mr. Draymond Green, you got a whole rule book just for you. Right? He's not the only one. There's special rules for all kinds of guys. I'm just using Draymond Green as an example. Right? It's like players got to figure out at the beginning of every game, like, what's the secret In-N-Out burger menu of today, huh? Like, I don't care what the rules are. Well, I don't want anybody getting hurt, right? But they just need to be enforced. The rules need to be the same for everybody, for the whole league, not different in different places and for different people. I was so tired yesterday. When I got home. Yeah, I was. Could barely even keep my eyes open to watch any of the basketballs that was on. The Brooklyn win. The Brooklyn beat the Wiz. Crispy pork sausage out with an injury, hurt his back, strained his low back, huh? Crispy pork sausage, what happened? You got a crick in your link. Feel better soon. No, I don't like to see anybody playing when they're hurting. That's abuse. Nobody should have to play when they're hurt. It's mean, right? My back needs cracked. I've been having spasms in my arm, down the back of my arm, down my back, where I had that whatever popped in my back, right? And there's a lump back there. There's a lump. There's a bump in my back. Who the hell knows what it is? It's in the spot where I used to get trigger point therapy after those accidents, and it's also around the place where I got bit by the black widow spider. It's also near where I broke the rib when Brody pushed me down the steps. Yeah. So I was watching this clip about this guy who's an exorcist, right, for the Catholic Church. And I'm skeptical of him. And this is why, because the exorcists have historically been kept secret. Like, that was something that, like, not even all of the clergy is supposed to know. You have to be at a certain place in the hierarchy of the administration of the church to know who the exorcists are. But something that was interesting they were saying is that number of exorcists has risen in North America from, because it used to be there was only like one or two, right, on the whole continent that were sanctioned by the Vatican. So now the number's up to like 50 in the United States. That's a lot. That's one for every state. That's a lot. And I have to wonder, like, is there really increasing need? I can believe it. I've done, but I'm also, I'm also just a little bit skeptical because it's also coinciding with this push for, mental illness stuff in the United States medical system, which is really a not so veiled way of diminishing people who dissent against the government, right? And now, and Biden's trying to take away everybody's guns and everything, so that there's no way to have an uprising against the government because the January 6th thing and everything really scared people, right? None of these things are coincidence, right? Tell you you're crazy, right? And then the church sanctions it, and they bring in the exorcist to make the call whether you're mentally ill or possessed. And either way, then they can oppress and control you. So I have some serious reservations and skepticisms about it. And that being said, I have also had my own experiences. So what do I mean by that? I've done space clearings for numerous people. And because it's not just individuals who can be afflicted by the unembodied. And I don't want to necessarily say the disembodied, because demons have never been embodied, right? They've never been incarnate. But there are other spirits and things that are around. And like there was this one time when I cleared a space, and I've done them both by appointment and just by serendipity. So I was out this one day. I used to go out and do photo essays, right? I used to just go out for a drive, see where I'd end up, and see where the spirit took me, and do a photo essay. So I was out looking for a spot to do photo essay, and sometimes I would, sometimes I would go wine tasting, or just poke around in little towns and shops or whatever. It was stop and have lunch somewhere. But I always did it like sans GPS, just go out and explore, right? So I was in this little town. I was out on the coast, like it was near Point Reyes, or I was out around. I wasn't in Point Reyes, but it was in. I had gone out towards that area, and I had stopped in a little. It was like a little art gallery, woo woo shop, right? They had paintings and crystals and angel stuff, and that kind of stuff, a woo woo shop. But they had artworks too. They had craft and things, and um, there was a little cafe next door. And I was in the shop, and there was this guy at the counter talking to this woman, saying, "Yeah, I just can't take it anymore. Stuff moves around in the space." He says, "I've lost clients because of it." He was a massage therapist, and he worked out of his home that was on a property that had other persons doing similar types of work. Right? It was a ranch. It was a working ranch, and then there were these houses, smaller houses that the owner of the ranch was renting out to, like I said, other people who were doing body work and art. There was a couple artists, and he said there was a potter that lived out there, and a painter. Anyway, he said, "I can't take it anymore. I'm losing clients because of the activity in the house." And I was just listening to this, and she said, "Well," she's like, "I know somebody, but she's out of town, and she was running a retreat somewhere, and she's not gonna be back for a while." And he's like, "No," he's like, "This has become urgent." And I was like, "Hey," I said, I'm sorry, I was eavesdropping. I said, I said, I've cleared spaces before. I could do that for you." And um, he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'd be so grateful." I said, "Oh, well, I said, "Okay." I said, "I was going to grab myself a lunch at the cafe next door." He said, "Let me grab that." And I said, "I'll follow you." I said, "Do you live far?" He's like, "No, it's not far. It was like 5 miles away from the place." So I followed him, and I cleared the space, and it was really really interesting, because when you had to drive through this like little grove to get into where the little houses were, right? And there was this clearing, and there were all these big, there were pine trees. They weren't redwoods; it was pine trees that were all around, and there was some cypress. It might have been a cypress grove. Anyway, got out of the car, and everything was silent. All of the animals and the birds, like there was no sound, and it was the kind of thing, like you noticed it, and it just felt kind of ooh. So as soon as I got out of my car, and I felt this and heard this and saw this, um, I started there's a prayer that you say, or that I say. There's a prayer. There's a process to it, um, and where you call upon the archangels to be present, in God, with God's light. And there, out of nowhere, came this flock of sparrows. The guy, he like started to back up, because it was kind of like the birds kind of thing, because I was praying out loud, and this huge, hundreds, there were hundreds of them, how sparrows do, and they were swirling above the house, and above us. And they continued to do so. And I entered the house. I said prayer before I entered the door. And then it was just a small, it was small. It was a little bigger than a tiny house, but it was a small house. It was a individual. And when I went into the bathroom, like, the house was super cold inside too. It was colder in the house than it was outside. And when I went into the bathroom, there was just this feeling there was just this horrible feeling. And I said, does stuff move in here? He says, yes. He said, stuff moves in the bathroom all the time. And because that's what he's saying, things would move all the time. Radio station or music would change to something that, when he had clients or whatever, and stuff like that, electrical disturbance. And I turned on the water in the sink, and it went the wrong way in the sink. I was like, oh. I said, somebody. I said there was death here. I said, and it began here in this room. And he was like, I said, don't tell me anything. I said, I don't want to be. So I just continued. I did my prayer. I did the grounding, and there was all of a sudden there was like this like rush of air in the house that came through. It was like a breeze came through the house, although there were no windows open. And then the temperature raised like, I don't know, 10, 15 degrees. It was noticeable, like instantly. The temperature in the house changed. And I went outside because I had to finish outside, and then my lunch was still in my car. I was going to get my lunch to eat after that. And when we walked outside, the sparrows all just kind of, they were still swirling in a circle, and then they dispersed. And I was like, oh, it's done. It's done. It's done. And then, I said a prayer of gratitude, and then I got my lunch. I had my lunch, and he gave me a massage. He says, how much? He says, what kind? How much does this cost? And I said, I don't know. How much does that cost? I don't know. What do you charge for that? I don't know. He said, and he said, well, I said, don't worry. I said, don't worry about it. I said, I'm happy to have been able to be present for that. And he said, well, at least let me give you a massage. And I said, okay. It was a good massage. He was good. He was good. I don't even remember his name. But those things happen. They do. And what he told me afterwards over lunch was that there was a couple that had lived in the unit before him, and that she had been a painter and he had been an author, and I can't remember which one it was. One of them had some illness, and they performed an assisted suicide in the unit, and that the pills, it was started with pills, and the pills were kept in the bathroom. And the only reason that he knew about this was because one of the other residents on the property had told him after he had rented the space. Yeah. Those things are real. Hopefully, wherever that being needed to be, they got to go there. I asked the angels to come help them. Yep. So those things happen. There's so much more to this world that we can't see, the seen and the unseen, right? I believe it's just a transference of energy, of matter into another form of matter, right? Right? That's what I think. Kind of like the fire. Expression of energy, transference of matter. Transitioning of matter. Transformation. Yeah. For reals. So I was so irritated. I had asked a couple priests to come help me with this property. Nobody was willing. Guess I don't really need them now, do I? Guess I don't.